JSG Group. JSG, in my opinion, my words, is the industry leading consultant for marketing efforts. They are the pulse. They work not really with the smalls like us, although they do work with the smalls. They really work with the bigs, the AT&Ts, the T-Mobiles. They work not just with wireless, but they work with channel and have a really good understanding about channel and the wireless and the hardware and everything else. And so when I met Barb and JSG for the very first time was right after the pandemic or right after the merger, so 2021.
Mhm.
And what we did is the program that we're doing today, which I have begged T-Mobile for, and T-Mobile is gracious enough to sponsor us for this. Y'all have heard me talk about the need for posting original content, the need for liking, sharing, and commenting, and all kinds of things. But there's that little bit of tidbit, but there's so much more. What I can tell you is I posted last week the new product launch we're doing for remote healthcare. And we got 2 leads from that post. And where will they go? I don't know. The job of marketing is to make the phone ring, to make your email box inbound. It is why HubSpot's annual conference is inbound, because marketing is not about outbound outreach. It's really about making things inbound, making things easier. And so we've got 3 sessions with Barb, and she's going to take us through LinkedIn. My ask, Margaret, Betsy, and Melissa, is that we leverage this with our internal teams as well. So last week I asked to have likes, comments, and shares. We got a couple likes, we got a couple comments, we got a couple shares. But the more we do, the more we will grow. And I won't steal Barb's thunder, but the 3 of you have heard me say it a lot. Amanda's heard me say it a lot. And Rob's just starting to hear me say it. And Peggy, you're brand new to my a lot game. But this is how to make LinkedIn powerful for us. And with that, Barb, let me go do really fast. I'm going to go to our team. Just say your name and your title, just so Barb knows who she has on the call today.
Thank you.
Okay. Betsy Kutach, Premier Wireless, Director of Implementation and Deployment.
Nice to meet you.
Good.
Margaret Snyder, Chief Operations Officer.
Hi, Margaret.
Melissa.
Hi.
Hi, Melissa Fuentes. I'm the Director of Customer and Technical Support.
Nice to meet you.
Rob.
Likewise.
Rob Pineda, Barb, I met you on a prior call, but VP
Yes.
of Sales here at Premier. Good to
Yep.
see you again.
Nice to see you.
Amanda.
Amanda, sales or senior government account executive, but didn't know if you wanted the whole mouthful.
Nice to meet you.
And Peggy.
Yes, I'm Peggy Adamson, and I'm a business development rep.
Great. Thank you for doing.
Yep. And we're in the process, just so you know, and this video comes out. So for those of you that are joining the team here in the near future, welcome. You missed the first meeting, but you're getting caught up today. Square one. Back to you, Barb.
Thank you. And I will be hiring Lee after this to do introductions for all of my social selling websites. And to all of you that aren't joining us live, at any time, if you have any questions, jot them down, and my contact information's at the end. Just ask me questions. That goes for everybody that's on the live session too, but I'm hoping all of you will ask questions. We're a small, intimate group here. And so just shout them out or put it in the chat. I'm not going to be able to always see the chat. I have 3 screens. So if you see me looking around, I'm not crazy. I'm looking to see if anybody's asking it. Well, I am a little, just a little. Okay, so I am going to share my screen here, and now you guys can see my slides. By the way, you will get a copy of these. with all of my speaker notes. Okay. So you'll know all of the secrets of everything that I'm saying because there are no secrets. I believe that social selling is one of the best ways to not only position Premier Wireless and of course T-Mobile. We want to say T-Mobile because they are sponsoring us, but they're a good and valued partner of yours. But each of you as individuals, as thought leaders, right? That you're the experts in what you do. And that's why you work at Premier, right? And that you have a unique way, a differentiated way to take care of your customers and your prospective customers. And you want to get that message out so people say, oh, yeah, I know and trust that person, right? Because at the end of the day, no AI engine is going to take over your job because what is it all about? Developing relationships that are based on trust, right? And respect. And so that's what social selling allows you to do. Okay. As Lee said, there's going to be 3 sessions. I have them all booked for like an hour and a half, which is, I think, what you guys have on these weekly meetings. I'm going to meet with you this week, next week, not Memorial Day, because we're all going to take that day off and have a barbecue. And then the next week after that. So I think that's June 4th is that last one. Each of the sessions is going to take you through a different section of this, but they all build on each other. So if for some reason a customer calls, a prospect calls, you have to go, make sure you listen through the rest of this presentation and you get your homework done, little bit of homework. I always did want to be a teacher when I was little, oldest and only girl. I want to be the boss, right? But little bit of homework just to make sure that you are ready for what we're going to talk about next. This session, why is it important? And let's talk about your profile. The next session, we're going to talk about prospecting. So finding people that match your ideal customer profile and connecting in a way that makes sense, right? And then the third one is all about posting, what type of content you should post, when you should post, how you should post, and engaging, really starting those conversations. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, I'm going to open up the chat so you can see me trying to find my mouse over there, and just throw them in the chat. If you don't feel comfortable just interrupting me, I'm okay with being interrupted. Okay. So let's go. Let's move forward. If I can move the slides forward. Okay. I'm first going to talk about the new way that buyers buy. By the way, if any of you other than Lee has heard me go through this before, it's not exactly the same as it's been, right? Because LinkedIn changes, our markets change, our industry changes. There's all kinds of things that change. So while some things are going to be the same, like me talking about thought leadership, some things are going to be new. So don't sleep on what I'm going to say this time. And one of those things that changes is how buyers buy. Okay. It's different than it was, frankly, 9 months ago, but much less 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, I'm going to let that note taker in. There we go. Oh, I don't know why it went back to that same. The second thing we're going to talk about is why this social selling, what I call social selling, is important. The third, I'm going to talk about how it supports your company's account growth and pipeline creation strategies. Then I'm going to talk about the 4 elements of LinkedIn social selling success, how we measure what we do, because if you don't measure, how do you know if it's working, right? Then how to optimize your profile. And then the next 2 sessions, as I said, are prospecting, connecting, posting, and engaging. Okay, so let's talk about why this is important. Well, let me tell you, like I said on the previous page, how you acquire customers has changed. Of course, it's always changing, but it's definitely different than it was just a year ago. Buyers are researching. It's a self-directed researching journey before they ever take your call or before they ever reach out to talk to a salesperson. And by the way, that includes your current customers. So if you have customers that maybe their contract's coming up or maybe they want to add something, they're not necessarily calling you and saying, what should I do? You might think that they're going to do that, but they're probably online looking asking for recommendations, asking people in their peer groups for more information, right? Just think about what you do. Think about your own behavior. Before you buy a new car, you go look online. Even more importantly now, you probably go to a chat GPT or a Claude or a Perplexity or something, Copilot, one of those, and you say, what car should I buy, right? You're doing your research before you ever show up at a dealership or before you call your high school best friend whose husband owns a dealership. Sorry, that was a personal thing, right? So when you think about how you buy something, it's no different for people in the B2B space, right? You read reviews, you check LinkedIn. So that's why you want to be there. The sales efforts that worked in the past aren't going to be sufficient, right? It's time for a new type of power play. And that power play more and more includes the integration of marketing and sales. Remember what Lee just said, which is one of the brilliant things that I'm going to steal from her. There's a reason that HubSpot calls it inbound, right? Your marketing team is there building brands, is there building collaterals, they're making sure the message is consistent, so it's amazingly heard. That new power play, being where these folks are looking for information, totally changes the game. Okay? If you're not visible, if people can't see you out there and say, oh yeah, those are my peeps, right? Or, oh, I want to talk to those folks because I have that problem. If you're not visible between the contract cycles and the grant windows and anything else, it becomes a price game. And we don't want this to be a price game, not because we want to charge too much. Because when you get to a price comparison, it's not about that respect and that relationship. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't mean that they're never going to ask about price. Absolutely not. But there's more to, we all know that there's more to an engagement of apples to apples, right? There's more to it. So we want to be there and show why Premier Wireless is different, what sets us apart, and why people want to do business with us. If the value isn't visible early, they're going to default to price. And more, by the way, procurement is getting involved in things earlier than ever. Price, terms, cost per outcome, you know how that goes. And while procurement used to get involved toward the end of that buyer's journey, they're starting to get, especially as people get nervous about the economy, okay? It's not a political statement. I'm an economics major and a marketing major, right? It's an economic conversation. When people start to get nervous, what happens? And we've seen it in our space, right? There's large tech companies are doing layoffs. They're shrinking things. They're saying we're using AI to do more, but really they don't know how they're doing it. Those conversations are becoming procurement oriented. And while we want to compete on price, we don't want that to be the default. So as I said earlier, these self-guided journeys are much more important, like significantly more important than a sales guided journey. 7, 8, 9 years ago, which is a lifetime, right, in our business, folks called their sales rep or a sales rep at a company they wanted to do business with and said, here's what I'm feeling, help me out. And then the salesperson took over that engagement. Here's what we should do. Here's what I call your problem, and here's what we should do. And everybody was better for it. Everybody loved it, right? But now buyers don't do that. They chart their own course. They research independently. They're building preferences. They're asking for referrals. They're asking for recommendations. They're reading reviews online. All of those things that Monica and the team are really making sure that you guys are a step ahead on, right? And they're only engaging sellers. And by the way, only a few sellers. They've shrunk down the list when they're ready to really talk about purchasing. So you sellers are thinking, well, that's not so bad. I don't have to worry about all that stuff up front. Somebody else has to worry about it. But you do, because you're the relationship, right? And so you want to make sure that you're using the tools afforded to you, right? through LinkedIn and through Sales Navigator. I know you all have Sales Navigator. We're going to talk a lot about that over the next couple of weeks, and leveraging those tools to make sure that you are set up as that thought leader, as someone they want to do business with, representing Premier Wireless. Okay. By the way, in most new tech deals, it on average in the US, and this is based on research done by Demandbase and 6 Sense, two companies that are experts in this area, buying groups include 11 or more stakeholders. So you're not just selling to one person anymore, not just an IT director or a CIO or, an ops person. There's 11 people that are influencing whether or not you get a deal. And so you have to make sure that you're talking to all of those different groups about what's important to them, right? Because it's not all the same. They don't talk the same language. Procurement and the CFO may talk very differently than the IT guy who has to integrate a solution in, right? Or the ops person that has to make sure that their people are super productive. So buying is a multi-stakeholder digital process. They're all researching. So we want to make sure that we're talking to all of these personas within your ideal customer profile. You're going to hear me talk a lot about ideal customer profiles. When I say that, what I mean are organizations that are the right size for your business and that are in the right verticals for your business and the right locations. So all of that. Then when I talk about personas, it's the stakeholders. It's the different folks that are influencing, deciding, blocking, the selection of a solution and a vendor. Okay, so any questions on anything that I've said so far? I'm going to take a second just to take a sip of my really good salty water. If you don't do Element, you should do Element.
Hey, Barb,
While
just
you're-
out of curiosity.
while you're-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
Just out of curiosity, on that, and I don't know if you know, but for that Demand and the other group that did the 11 plus
6 Sense and
stakeholders,
yeah.
Is that based on any customer segment? Is that government, SMB, enterprise, everybody? I just didn't catch it if you said it.
Yeah, it's an average across all of those, but it's for tech and telecom solutions specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. One of the things, and this is true when I get involved with somebody, people go out to your LinkedIn to look at you, to see who you are, to see what you represent. You build a brand, and if people see that you have if you don't have anything out there, I don't know that it detracts from your brand, but it doesn't add anything to your brand, right? It does not help. And so we'll talk about what kind of content is appropriate content, not appropriate content for out here, but it's your professional face. It's a way to build trust. Barb was talking about everybody being price centric. And I would tell you, everybody is value centric and not price centric. They want to make sure that what they invest is they're getting the best value for their money. And so that's where this comes into play. And that's where all of a sudden you can become seen as an expert, and you build that trust so that when you are in that sales motion of reviewing our recommendation, it's why we call it a recommendation, not a quote, is because it's about building relationship. Quotes don't build relationships, recommendations do. This is your brand. This is how people will get to know you. And the more you can original thought, the stronger this becomes for all of us.
That's perfect. It's perfect. And what I meant by procurement, just to align with what Lee said, is people are becoming procurement focused when dollars get tight, but they're always looking for value. She's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. So what I said isn't opposed to what she said. It's included in what she said. Okay.
It's in alignment. It's actually just peeling the onion one more layer of what does price actually mean. And I agree with you because everything is about dollars and cents, but it's ROIs on those dollars and cents. And when you can evolve that and build the trust around how our widget for $5 more or $5 less, because cheaper can also cost you if they think you're too cheap, they'll end up spending more.
That's true.
Price is relative.
Yep, that's great. Okay, so just in line with what she just said, buyers trust what they see and who they know. So that's why I said reviews is important. But this is exactly what she just said. Your profile is your digital business card for those of us old enough to remember business cards, right? That's how people go look up, oh, who's invited to that meeting? And they go on LinkedIn. And so you do want your profile to help get you ahead versus being neutral or, God forbid, put you behind, right? Like, and sometimes they do, but to Lee's point, usually it's not going to be a negative. It's just not going to be a positive. And so that's what we're looking for today. We're going to talk all about your profile and how to update that profile and how to leverage it on LinkedIn, right? So that people say, I want to do business with them and I want to do business with their company. And of the people that are making these decisions, the buyers and the C-level executives, most of them want to do this research independently and are going to research you. So everything I just said, the people that say, I do the buying, they're looking at your profile. So that's why we want to really make sure that that's there. Now, so 11 people, and you want to make sure you're talking to all of them. And how do you do that? How do you do that efficiently? You post on LinkedIn and you post about different topics so that it hits all of those different roles. It's not 11 different ones for you in particular, but you're going to hit different pieces of those personas. How do you make sure it's updated? You listen to what we're saying here. But why is this important for you guys and your selling efforts, for all of you that are sellers on here?
I'm gonna interject for 1/2 second.
Yeah.
Go back a slide for a second, Barb.
Mhm.
So Betsy, Melissa, Margaret, you might say, well, okay, that's a sales thing to do. As I've thought about this over the last couple of weeks, it's really important to me that each of you update your profiles because you're part of our overall brand. What do we stand point? You're different aspects of our business. And so Betsy, as implementation and deployment, maybe once a month with the help of Monica, we have something that you post and you write from implementation deployment, things that are important. Melissa, same thing for you from a technical support. I'd also like to make sure that our key players on the support teams, our implementation managers and our tech support, they all have a profile built out. Because when we go into companies under Premier Wireless and somebody wants to see who's on board the ship, just having a person doesn't add weight. But then all of a sudden, when we give the weight to who they are and what they do, it's this kind of, and I'm saying this now because Barb's going to go into building your personas, and think about it not just for sales, but on the support side, also think about it from how do we build out and embolden what everybody does, even Aaron and Akia, where you would say, okay, there are people that QA, but there's a lot of weight. Our strength and gold is in that position, and we can build out their profiles as well to be it, so that we come bigger, we appear and present as a larger organization than who we are, so that we can grow into and become the larger organization and grow into and be larger.
So Lee, one quick thought I had right now was possibly leveraging the good reviews that we do get, like the most recent Oaklawn. When we do get those, incorporating or adding that, I think would be a good idea.
Yes.
Latest response from one of our newest clients, Jody. I don't know that we need to say what customer it is, because that would start making people target our clients, which I don't think is good on social, but absolutely.
Okay.
I love that. If you have good reviews, they are worth their weight in gold. And and using them as use cases. That's what Lee just talked about, like not actually giving their names, but saying this is what they said. That should be on your corporate LinkedIn. And then also people should reshare it. And we'll talk more
Yeah.
about how those mechanics work.
Gotcha.
Oh my
That's what
God.
I was thinking. Like anything that
Okay.
you get like that, Melissa, I mean,
Mhm.
those things you can send to me because we can utilize
Yes.
them in our social media posts that we do to the company page and stuff.
Okay.
So those are always super beneficial.
Yeah.
And our
Awesome.
website. And we're
Yeah.
launching our new website this week, just so y'all
I know. So I would
Yay.
actually need testimonials. So while you're at it, Melissa, you could send them on over to me.
Okay.
So, and you know, I talked about it being a digital business card, and people are probably like, who cares about business cards? But the idea behind a business card originally was to make sure that people understood what your role was and how in that role you understood their business, right? That's what you want people to say. Wow, when I look at their LinkedIn profile, they get me, not, oh, they're looking for a job, right? Because that's how we all used to use LinkedIn. That's how, you know, and frankly, people still do. If they're looking for a job, they should go on LinkedIn. But that's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking about how to help you find another job. I am talking about how to help you find another customer, or how to take care of your customers and make sure that they stay, or how to set Premier Wireless apart from anybody else. Okay. So this is all what the rest of the session's about. I want to talk about how this aligns with your selling efforts, but that doesn't mean just for sales people, right? That doesn't mean just for sales people. This is a pipeline strategy, and pipeline means getting new people in, but keeping the ones that you have as well, right? So we want to stay visible. That's what social selling does. We want to make sure that we can expand the opportunities. And for all of you that are in operations and taking care of existing customers, that's what you do every day. You give them such great response. You give them such great service. You deal with issues when they come up, but you're there during the good times as well. And that leads to expansion opportunities. You want to make sure, and a lot of companies don't do this, that you are known, that they feel comfortable. So when a renewal comes up, it's not like, oh, it's a contract renewal time. I should go look around. There's no doubt in their mind that they are going to stay with you, right? And then, of course, it opens up all those warm paths to new accounts. So everything that we're going to talk about should align to helping grow your business. So to that end, let's talk about those goals. Grow the installed base, right? Everybody wants to do this. This is what everybody's focus always is. I want to get more customers into Premier Wireless, right? Two, I want to make sure that we're turning customers into advocates. And that's what Melissa was just talking about. They're doing it on their own. Well, how can we help nurture that along so more people are willing to give us that review or give us the quote, right? Three, you want to make sure that whatever your territory is, and I don't necessarily mean geography, it could be like some of you said, I'm responsible for this, you know, this sector of the market, but whatever your territory is, you want to build your brand. You want to be known as a um, as a advocate for your customers, but also as an expert. And so when IT leader, school technology person, you know, public safety director, whoever it is looking, they're like, you know who I want to talk to? I want to talk to Barb Gaborowski because she's on there and she's helping me learn new things. And I saw a lot of things from her, right? And then, of course, those warm paths. You're like, why do they have to be warm? It's getting warm in Houston at this time of year. See what I did there? But it's really about shortening sales cycles, because they already feel like they know you. You don't have to do the whole song and dance like at the beginning of dating, right? You're not doing that because you're already down a path. They've been reading your content. They've been getting comfortable with Premier as a business. They've been getting comfortable as you as an expert. So it really helps minimize, I'm not going to say shrink, but minimize how long some sales cycles can actually be. Now, Is it significant? It depends. You know your customers. You know that when we're talking about a government agency or a SLED business, or even a healthcare business, right? Those sales cycles are long, right? But if you don't have to do some of the upfront work, they do get somewhat shorter. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to focus on LinkedIn for the rest of today. But if you have any other questions about Reddit, or if you are on something else and having great success, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, we can talk about those as well. But I really focus on LinkedIn. And why LinkedIn is important is it's the dominant B2B platform. It is. There's nothing else like it. People utilize it, and this is, for Monica as well. Monica knows a lot of these. There's the whole selling side. There's also the marketing side of LinkedIn that's really strong, right? Their lead generation is better than any other B2B platform. Like, as a B2B platform, the rates of people converting, whether it's through a marketing ad or something like that, or for somebody on there posting this or last week and getting 2 leads, like you just heard Lee talk about, those conversion rates are better than any other B2B platform, which gives you a much better return on your investment for your time. You can spend your time doing a lot of things, and spending your time here is really going to pay off for you. And frankly, the engagement rates, whether through posting or through ads, are significantly higher than any other platform. Now, having said that, I have a lot of, you'll see my sources in here, source. The beginning, when I first did this list, was all what LinkedIn said. Because, Microsoft does a lot of research on what we all do there, and they're like, we're the best. But I did actually go out and found a lot of other sources that said, no, this is why you need to use LinkedIn. So I'm not just, blowing smoke here. These are a lot of companies that do this for a living that are telling you that LinkedIn is the place to be. As a matter of fact, a well built out posting cadence with a well built out profile pays off like you've never seen. This strong sales reps with really strong personal brands on LinkedIn, right? Great profiles, posting about topics interesting to their prospects and their customers. They have a 10x likelihood of beating quota versus those that don't use LinkedIn consistently. Okay, so getting that profile done, 10x, guys, 10x. So getting that profile updated and starting to do the consistent posting cadence is not only going to help Premier Wireless, not only going to help you be successful, it's going to help you make more money, right? Because you're going to be selling more. And that's what we want to do. So,
Hey, Barb.
Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to throw at the beginning. I've used LinkedIn and business pages for Facebook and Instagram for many, many years now. I would agree wholeheartedly with everything you said about LinkedIn and how it's built out. I would also say the success that I find from my business pages on Facebook and Instagram are simply the people that know me on a personal level, because you can hit in the algorithms for reels, stories, posts, and so forth. What the reason why I point that out to you is because I'm familiar with how those work, and I see the benefits of both. So if there's any messages that you would tailor in for each of those, I just welcome them, because I typically will post anything that I post on my LinkedIn, and then I'll make the post on my Instagram, either via reel if it's a video, or a story, depending on the content.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. I'll send something over when we get to our content section in a couple of weeks, and I'll send out to everybody, of course. Just some, if you're going to use your other ones, which I think is great, get the message out to as many people as you can, but get the right message in the right way. So you might do a little tailoring, depending upon what it is. But thank you for sharing that. That's great. So I measure things. I'm that kind of marketer. Like I am all about measuring and trying something and saying, okay, how can we make it better? Let's adjust it. Oh, that didn't make it better. Oh, let's go this way, you know. So I'm going to talk to all of you about measuring in a number of different ways. These are not vanity metrics. These are like solid, true metrics. Profile views. How many people are looking at your profile? How many people are asking to connect to you? Okay. How many conversations have you started online or have been started with you online? I'll say it that way. And then how many meetings have you actually gotten? That fourth one, that's the one a lot of people aren't thinking about, right? And so we're not going to talk about all of these today. We're just going to start talking. We're going to get a baseline of metrics, but the rest of the rest of the sessions that we're going to have are really going to say, okay, how are we influencing each of these? Because we want to get to the meetings so that we could get to the sales, right? Okay, so
I want to add, go back on that one for a second before you
Sure.
go to social selling index. I'm going to add a fifth one.
mhm.
And the fifth one is, how many outbound connection requests have you made? We talk to a lot of people, y'all. So for this slide, I want everybody just to notate outbound connection requests, because we think about who our clients are. Our clients are the T-Mobile GAMs or account executives, whatever vertical they're in. They are your solutions engineers, and they're every client meeting you have. And I would challenge each of you on support and sales. Go out there and connect on LinkedIn to every vendor, every client, every partner that we talk to, because they're talking to the people that you want to be talking to already. And when you're in their world, their connections are in your world.
I love that. And I will try to remember to update number 2 to inbound and outbound requests. And I'm going to, you know what, I thought of one other thing. The inbound requests don't count if they're people like that, you know how you get all those people that are trying to sell you something that's not relevant to you. Like I'm all about I'm all about selling, right? I make my living doing social selling. So that's a good thing. But you know how you get people that are like, I am a wealth manager in Elmhurst, Illinois. That's where I live. And, and I'm like, no, I already have somebody. And then they just keep coming back to me. I don't count those as inbound requests. I only want inbound requests for my ideal customer profile. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you for shaking.
A zillion of those a week.
Yeah. That, or people, believe it or not, trying to sell me social selling or LinkedIn profile updates. I'm like, did you read my profile? Hints, we all have to do that before we send out requests. Okay, that was great stuff. Social selling index. 4 years ago when I met Lee and we were talking about this, the social selling index was the end all be all. Now, it's not quite as important, but it's still important, okay? It's not the end all be all. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the habits that get you to the things that get you shown by the algorithm, those habits, that's what the social selling index monitors. And so I still want us to look at this, but we're going to add some other things to it. Okay, so this is the audience participation portion. All right. Go see this thing in blue here, not the green. I'm sorry if anybody is colorblind because I realize blue and green look the same. This linkedin.com/sales/SSI. Go put that in your browser, okay, and look up your SSI score today, okay? And I want you to pull it up. You don't have to share anything. As a matter of fact, not yet, because we'll share it in a little bit. If you're comfortable doing that, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But I want you to see.
We're going to share because we got nowhere to go but up.
There's 4 components of this, and I want to talk about each of the 4, and I just want to make sure that that everybody understands what they are and where they are today. Okay. So did everybody get a chance to see it? By the way, since you all have Sales Navigator, you could also go into Sales Navigator, and up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a picture of you, and you click on that and go down and it says Social Selling Index, and you can get it that way. I forgot that you guys are lucky enough to have the company making that investment on your behalf. So
Only
that was a
sales,
picture
only
right now.
sales has that.
Okay, well, sales team, you can look at that, but everybody else, easy way to get in, linkedin.com/sales/SSI. And I say it / like that because I used to call it / and somebody corrected me. So didn't even notice. All right. If everybody has theirs open, let me just go through these 4 components of the score, of the SSI score. Total SSI available, 100 points. In all the years I've been doing this, since 2019, which I can't believe was 7.5 years ago now, I've never seen anybody higher than 84. Okay. I just haven't. Why is that? I don't know, but they don't want anyone to be perfect, I'm sure. So that's that. Each of the 4 areas worth 25 points. How convenient. The first area is establishing your professional brand. Okay. That's what your profile is. Your profile completely filled out. Is your headshot on there? Is your banner filled in? Things that we're going to talk about next. Okay. The second area is finding the right people. That's all about prospecting. Are you using LinkedIn, or if you're a salesperson, Sales Navigator, to create searches to find people to connect with that match your ideal customer profile and personas, right? So that's finding the right people. The third area is engage with insights. Are you using the platform to establish those relationships by commenting, not just liking? We talk more about that later. Commenting and asking questions, and frankly, reaching out to people through direct messaging. Are you doing that consistently? And you could see that was my lowest score. Even though I think I do it a lot. I don't know. It drives me crazy. And the final one is building strong relationships. Am I, reaching out to people on a consistent basis across my community of people? Am I commenting on theirs? Am I liking? You get a little bit more points down there for liking and, reacting to some of those. And am I posting? I'm sorry. The third one, engage with insights, is a lot about also the type of content and the quality of content that you post. The building relationships is asking the people, asking more questions, and building relationships is more about the direct messaging. Okay. So those are the 4 areas. The highest you can get is 25. I've never seen a 0. I have seen somebody whose overall score was 2. So I doubt anybody here is 2. And the scores do change over the weighting of the scores within this, what counts, does change over time just because the algorithm changes. Now, and that's what this social selling index, as well as some other metrics like we talked about, drives. The higher your score, the more likely the platform is to share your content outside of your insider group of connections. Because I don't know if you know this, but when you post today, not even all of your connections see it. Just an inside group of your connections see it. Now, and I should say, see it at the top of their feed, right? Like somebody could go to your profile and look, but at their feed, to get it on their feed, you have to have a decent score, right? You have to have decent metrics. You have to have a decent following, and you have to have a decent amount of connections, right? So the higher your score, the more likely the platform is to say, wow, people like this person, and I want people to like me for liking this person. So I'm going to share it with all of their connections, or I'm going to share it outside of their connections with people that look like they like this type of content. So that's when something goes viral. And so the more you can focus on these 4 areas, even though SSI isn't the end all be all anymore, it still does make a difference. And the more you can focus on gaining followers, as well as connections, as well as people saving your content, the more likely it is for something to get bigger than it is today. Okay. Now, the algorithm changes every few months. There's a million people that keep on top of it. We have relationships with most of those people, and that's why I'm always updating what we're doing in these slides. But that's where we are as of about the end of March, when the last big algorithm change came out. Okay.
Question before we go further.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going left and right based on where you are on my screen. Betsy, what's your score?
My current selling index score is 22 out of 100.
Got it.
Okay.
My industry
Margaret.
rank SSI is 68%.
That's
Okay.
good. That's good.
Take a screenshot of it and send it to me.
Okay.
Margaret, what's yours?
My score was 37.
Melissa, what's yours?
36.
Rob, what's yours?
64.
Amanda, what's yours?
44.
Peggy, what's yours?
45, but I got a 25 on the build relationships.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's mine too.
That's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Did I miss anyone?
Okay.
I'm a 68. So
Yay,
everybody
good.
send me your screenshots before we move on. Take a moment and send them to me. That would be fabulous. Or put them in the sales team chat. That way Monica has them as well, or just send them to me. I don't really care which.
I sent mine to you.
Okay, that works.
And just think of it this way. So first of all, thank you for sharing. A lot of people don't like to share them. They are what they are. They're great. And we're going to do things every one of these sessions that are going to help those scores go up. And I want you to know it takes 3 days to see the impact of your change. So as we go through the updating the profile today and you make changes while we're doing it, I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm suggesting you take some time tomorrow morning. But if you do, and then tomorrow you go on and you're like, I'm still at, wherever I am, it takes 3 days for it to catch up. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
So do
Great
me a
stuff.
favor. Like I just saw it, and Margaret sent an image with just the top part. Looking for you to do the image that shows the whole your social selling. So it shows your industry SSI, your network SSI, and then your total social, because what you'll see over the course of the next couple months is seeing those numbers grow. So I want to see the total for everybody. So it's just a benchmark. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no anything else. We are where we are. Let's just grow.
Perfect. Okay. And if you can't get it all in one, just make your view, zoom out, and then you can get the whole thing. Okay. So, for those of you that have Sales Navigator, I thought it was every team member, so I apologize to those of you that don't have it. But here's the way we're going to make sure that we're using Sales Navigator for those of us that have it over time. We're going to build out your account and your lead lists. I don't know if you're doing that today, but as we start doing our prospecting next time, you'll see more direct, like, okay, now save this. And then every day it goes and gets you more people that match. It's fantastic. And then you make the decision if you're going to do the outreach to those folks. You make the decision on how you're going to share. And one of the other wonderful things is there's an account alerts section that, based on triggers, you could say, if somebody does this, let me know. And then you get a flag that, like, if somebody says, somebody changed jobs. Job changes are big for us, right? Let's say somebody goes from one school district to another that isn't a customer today. We love that, don't we? Right? Because we want to go over there and talk to them about what we're doing. So think about those things. So we're going to build out account lists and lead lists, and we're going to be able to manage those in our sales nav. We're also going to set up alerts for certain triggers like lead role changes, or they post content. So you can go in there and engage with it. Or, if their organization makes news, hopefully in a good way, then we know we have something to talk to them about. All right. And then we want to use Team Link, which is a new feature that they have, where if you don't have the relationship, maybe somebody on your team has that relationship, and that's the warm path, right? And that way you invite, I say to Lee, can you help introduce me to so-and-so? And Lee's like, of course I can, because I want us all to be successful. So that's what we'll talk about. Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about the ICPs at Premier. This is what I built the deck on. It may not be all inclusive, but this is what I'm basing it on going forward. Government, of course, public safety and law enforcement, education, hospitals, healthcare, higher ed. Okay. And then titles that I put in. Now, you guys know your business better than I do. So for my examples, I'm going to talk about CIOs or IT directors or directors of technology. And by the way, you have to put both in because that's how their titles are worded. Superintendent or school technology coordinator, chief of police, sheriff, emergency manager, directors of procurement, purchasing manager. That's what my examples are. My examples. You guys are the smart ones here. You edit those for who, the titles that you've had the most success with. CFOs aren't on here. Maybe you talk to CFOs a lot, right? Or directors of finance or procurement or whoever it is. Add those in. Think about who you're going after. And I can almost guarantee you that using Sales Navigator sales folks, we can search for those and we can build those lists out. All right. Also, don't forget that there are in-mails that you get because you have Sales Navigator. You get a few of them. An in-mail is where you can connect to somebody where you can message somebody, reach out to somebody through the platform, but you're not necessarily connected with yet, and it's not a connection request. So that's in-mails. You get in-mails. We'll talk about this when we do the outreach, but I have some tips and tricks that you could start using today. Set up your lists as smart lists so that, as I said before, you're getting all those changes automatically. You don't have to go in and say, run that query. It's so great. It's so great. I look at them every morning. I have here every Monday morning because I know I get a little obsessive with this, but at least once a week, you should be looking at those lists, saying, are these people I should connect with, etc. And by the way, to what Lee said before, you should be doing it for, the people at T-Mobile and any other vendor that you work with, and, and of course, all your customers, and of course, all your prospects. And you also want to make sure that you're going to engage with content, not just with in-mail. So you can comment on posts and say, hey, we have a use case on that, or, we have some, news from T-Mobile on that, or something like that. Sharing content, that's the beginning of the buyer's journey where people are trying to absorb as much as they can. They're trying to become super smart so that when they finally talk to a salesperson, they know what they're talking about. They don't feel they're getting taken advantage of. Not that you guys would ever take advantage of them, but this is making these big purchase decisions is important to somebody, and they want to go in with their best foot forward. If you can help them to put that best foot forward, positions you better. For Sales Nav, but this could be also for LinkedIn as well, most of it. Every day, you should review your smart list really quickly. I'm sorry, on Mondays, 10 minutes, and then pick 3 new people to reach out to every week. 3. Just start with 3. Okay. Every day, scan the homepage feed for posts, for saved leads, comment on 1 or 2. Every week, you should try to send 3 in-mails. And they should all be personalized, by the way. Make sure that everything you're sending isn't a generic and isn't sales forward. It's, hey, I see we're in the same field. I thought this article would be of interest to you, right? Comment on 5 posts and of leads of people that you're going after, and then share one of the corporate leads that Monica's putting together. One of the corporate posts, not leads, sorry, the corporate posts. And then once a month, go through your Navigator analytics. Like, look at your in-mail response rate, look at your profile views from the saved accounts, look at the new leads identified, and say, is this enough? Or am I getting better? That's what I think you're going to see, because we're going to give you some content to share as well. We're going to be teaching you new things. If you start doing that this week, then you'll see the benefits of everything we're teaching you over time, right? And you'll see why doing this helps you to be more successful. All right. You'll get a copy of this. No need to write it all down. And we'll fill in some of the blanks on this over the next couple of weeks. Okay, we already looked at SSI scores, so we don't need to do that.
Oops, hang on one second. Go back to the goals.
Yeah.
I was trying to talk, but I was on mute.
Oh.
I'm going to add one weekly goal. And I'm okay with it, maybe making it a monthly goal. Let's make it a monthly goal. 2 original posts per month. And they don't have to be long, y'all. Literally, ChatGPT can create an image for you, just like it did for me last week. Give it a thought and have it write a post around something. For support, we'll create the post based on something that you've seen this week, something that we're doing new, something that we can talk about it on our next operations and stuff, but something about support and technical support and how important it is, or whatever, what makes it good, or makes us good, either or. For sales, talk about a product that we're doing, and support, you could also talk about products that we're doing as well. That how it benefits, and it only needs to be working with schools to make sure that their students have connectivity and a laptop. Bada bing, and we've been doing blah blah blah. It doesn't have to be a commercial for it, but talking about how the product that we have supports and solves a problem. Think about something we do, a problem people would have. Put the 2 together and ask ChatGPT to write a less than 500 word post, literally 300 to 500 characters, not even words.
Yep.
Because that's what will resonate on LinkedIn. You don't need a novel. You just need an itty bitty.
And when you do that, put in there, create a LinkedIn optimized for 2026 best practices LinkedIn posts, something like that, and it'll optimize it for everything. You'll be surprised how targeted it gets. By the way, Monica has done an incredible amount of marketing collateral pieces, and the ones that you have access to could all be the centerpiece of a post. So find the ones that are relevant to what you do and use those. I work with a lot of folks like you guys, not just in the T-Mobile world, but in a million different worlds. And, you guys have a ton of collateral coming out. And what's nice about that is the message will be consistent, but not the same, because you're going to personalize it to make it sound like you. So, and we'll talk more about content in a couple weeks. So I'll give you more. But if you're going to do, and your leader here, your fearless leader, was pretty generous, saying just 2 original posts per month, because on the 4th, I'm going to say you need to do 2 or 3 a week. That's what really is to optimize your profile. By the way, it used to be 5. It used to be you have to post every day, but now 2 or 3 a week. All right.
And I think for sales, 2 to 3 a week, but I think for ops and support, I think 2 a month is more than we're doing now, which would be a huge difference. And it gives credibility to our support team.
absolutely. And the more important thing is consistency. Do I sound like I'm a workout person, which you can tell I'm not? Like, it doesn't matter how much you do as long as you do it consistently, right? I'll say the same thing for LinkedIn. All right. So we already talked about SSI scores. Now I'm going to go for the next 29 minutes. I'm going to talk to you about your profile. Actually, I don't know if it'll take that long, but let's talk about how we update your profile. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of the folks from my team because we all have updated profiles. And so you're going to see those. Here's the number one thing. You need to talk to your target audience. You're going to get so sick of hearing me say that. I'm sorry. But I've heard that repetition really helps. You need to talk to your target audience. And because you are not looking for a new job, your profile should not read like a resume. Okay, this is a total mind shift for some people because they all think of LinkedIn as just a way to find the next job. That's not what it's about anymore. You want to tell people how you provide value, right? And the value you're providing to your existing customers and how you could provide value to prospects. Okay, so think about this. Who do you help? That's your ideal customer profile and persona. What problems do you solve? What outcomes do you deliver and to whom? What industries and what geographies? All right. So based on what I said before, you guys know it better, but my examples are going to be around CAOs, IT directors, agency directors, school technology coordinators, blah, 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 right? The profile needs to speak their language. Use the terms they use. Connectivity gaps, network reliability, compliance, right? Like if you're talking in healthcare, you got to talk about HIPAA, you got to talk about compliance. If you're talking about schools, you got to talk about safety, right? I mean, tech's important there. You got to talk about mission critical communications. By the way, I used to be in school communications and I used to be in healthcare. So I always love those examples. All right. So the rest of this time, you're going to hear me say, talk to your audience. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Barb, I'm sure you're going to get to this too. I haven't looked at everybody's LinkedIn profile. I've designed like a banner image for personal LinkedIn profiles to keep consistency across the board. Lee, I don't know if you've updated yours, but anyway, I have those and I can share them with you guys that you can update that back banner piece on your LinkedIn. And maybe you already have done it, but just wanted to reiterate that.
That's great. I love when there's a consistent message for the company in the banner. And this is Janet Shines, who runs JSG. She's the CEO. And this is our JSG banner. And you can see that it's strong and it talks about everything we do. And that's one of the things, Monica, I have not seen the banners. Maybe I have, but it's been a little while. So all I would ask is that we do more than just a company name, that we talk about like how we add value, to use Lee's things, something along those lines. Because if this just said JSG and you weren't familiar with us, you'd be like, is that Janet's monogram? I don't know, right? So you want to put something in there that talks a little bit about what you do. But let me go through this whole thing. And I've said it before, Monica's amazing. So probably now if it wasn't on there, it will be on there before the end of this call. I know what she does. So anyway, this is your profile. There's 13 different pieces and they're pretty easy. All right. Your profile picture, your heading, that's this underneath your name, right? Your custom URL, which is how people find you, especially when you have honestly, I always say, especially when you have a really bad last name like mine, but that's not it. Especially when you have a very common name. It's much more important when you have a common name. What services you offer, your about section that tells people about you and how you help them. Your featured section, which features content that you put on, that you've been sharing and things that you want to like pin on your profile. Your activity, which shows what you've been doing on LinkedIn. Your experience, which is what you've done in your work life, and volunteering life, by the way, also important. And volunteering is a section that people often forget, but in a values-based world that we're in now, people like to know that, you have the same interests that they have. Endorsements and skills, recommendations, honors and awards, and then making sure that you have keywords, the right keywords sprinkled sprinkled within. So if people are online searching, because we know they do that, they find you. All right, so let's go through each of these.
So Amanda, hang on one second, go back to that page.
Mhm.
So Amanda, what's a keyword? What does that mean to you?
Like a buzzword.
Give me an example of a keyword for you. Peggy, any thoughts?
Connectivity.
Yep.
Mission critical.
Say what?
Mission
Amanda?
critical.
Mission critical communication, right? It's speaking, and you can ask chat to help you. Like I'm talking about this. I want to post that talks to blank, blank, and blank. What are keywords? And because there's a lot of common keywords that will cross multiple industries so that they come up and they become relevant. So I just wanted to make sure we had a definition of what a keyword was.
Yep. Sorry. And you know what? Feel free to interrupt me when I say something like that, like keywords. I mean, Lee did, but the rest of you can do it too. A keyword would be something, think about it this way too. Like mission critical is a great one. Connectivity is another good one. Wireless, but there would be a lot of people looking at wireless. But think about if somebody wanted to find you online but didn't know your name or where you worked, what words would they put in, right? From a professional standpoint, not, dance mom or something like that, right? So think of it that way. That's your keywords. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about some of those keywords as we go through this. All right. So, okay, come on now. Let's do it. All right. The top section is your first impression. And we always want to make a good first impression, don't we? Right? This is everything that's typically above the fold, meaning you don't have to scroll down. You have to have a nice, clean, professional headshot. Okay. I know a lot of people like to do their personality shots. My recommendation is something professional. It could still be, like look at Kathleen. Her head's tilted to the side. It's not, she doesn't have a suit jacket on with a fluffy bow tie. I made that up. That's for any 80s girls there. It doesn't have to be that. But somebody on a beach with a beard, and I have seen those, I would not recommend that, right? I would not recommend that. So your headshot should be professional. Guys, you could throw a headshot into ChatGPT and say, make this a headshot for LinkedIn, and they do it. And I did that a week and a half ago for a friend, and it turned out great. Okay. So there's a million ways to make that happen. The banner, which is what's behind you, which is what Monica was talking about, should showcase what you do. Okay. Connect, engage, transform. She designs partner engagement strategies that drive revenue. So altogether, this works all together, right? The banner, please do not use the default banner that has like bluish, tealish, grayish stuff. Use what Monica's going to give you. All right. It should showcase what you do. And by the way, if you're going to be like at Channel Partner Expo, or you're going to be at some really great show, you could get banners. And Monica, don't mean to put more on you, but she could supply banners saying, we're all going to be at this show. Everybody put this on there with a link to say where to schedule time with us. That is legit. And a lot of people do it very successfully. So, and it doesn't have to be an event. It could be a webinar. It could be whatever. Okay. Your heading, which is what's underneath your name that I was talking about before, should explain how you add value for partners, meaning, the vendors, etc., or prospects or existing customers for your audience. Okay. How do you add value? All right. Like helping public safety agencies stay connected when it matters most. And then line Premier Wireless. All right. Or helping K through 12 districts and healthcare organizations. I know that one's a little weird, but I wanted to get healthcare in there. Build reliable,
Yeah, but
secure,
it
wireless
works,
infrastructure.
right? Both
Yeah,
require, helping government, K-12, government and healthcare. You could put all three in there.
definitely you can. Yep. You could do that. So think about what you do and think about who you want to highlight. Now, I did put T-Mobile in there. And that could be great. If somebody's looking for something from T-Mobile, they could find you that way. All right. So I'm not going to suggest that you don't use T-Mobile, but I'll let the powers that be decide how often we want to use them. All right. Make sure
Use
you're using,
T-Mobile.
pardon me?
We wouldn't put T-Mobile in
Okay.
that.
All right, then do not use the third one with the T-Mobile piece, but you could just put with wireless solutions or with 5G solutions. You don't have to put T-Mobile in there. All right, make sure you're using action words to show value, right? A lot of people use their title. Don't use your title. Don't use your title. That's not help. You drive, you support, you help, you build, right? You're there to help get better outcomes for those prospects. All right. Some pro tips. If your name is very common, especially if your name is, Peggy Smith, Peggy, I just grabbed your name because I looked at it first. I'm not doing anything there. But if that's it, please go in and grab a vanity URL. All you have to do is click on it and you'll get the option. If you need help, just let me know. But put your name, and if there's already, Lee Bogle on there, you could put Lee Bogle Premier Wireless, or you could put Lee Bogle, wireless solutions expert, something along those lines, right? But you want it so that they find you and not one of the other 5 million people with your same name, okay? If you have premium, you can enhance your profile with call to action buttons. Premium is different than Sales Navigator. Premium means you're paying the $39 a month or whatever it is now, right? And you can also feature some key details at the top of your profile. And, of course, like everybody else, LinkedIn has an AI bot that will help you optimize things. And I wouldn't discount their AI. I would look to see what it says, but it's your profile. Make sure that you feel comfortable with what AI and LinkedIn are telling you to put. Okay. All right. Highlight your services. Now, services it's a fairly new section, past couple of years, and you click on the ads. Well, you click on the add services button and then you start typing things in and then they give you things to choose from. Okay. So make sure you're picking the services that make most sense for your target audiences. And it'll help you get found. Okay, you can list up to 10. So pick the 10 that are the 10 most common and the 10 that you think prospects are looking for most often, not necessarily what you sell the most. You know what I mean? Because they could be looking for something and then they wind up buying something else, but you want to be found when they're looking. Okay, so I said you might want to consider T-Mobile 5G, but let's take that one off. Wireless solutions, public safety communications, IoT connectivity, managed mobility, network solutions, could be anything like that. Okay.
We can put on there as a T-Mobile partner. We just have to define it as a T-Mobile for business partner.
Yeah, and I think what the piece you're talking about really comes in this about section. And I do think you should have that in your about section. Okay. So the about section is where most people put their resume outside of the experience, right? Couple of things. Nobody reads long paragraphs. Break it up. Use bullet points. If you like emojis, use emojis. I'm not crazy about emojis, but if you like them, go for it. Make sure you have stats and facts. Helped customers save over 32% and achieved 98% on the ACT and SAT. I totally made that up and I probably wouldn't use that. Those kinds of things. Numbers. People love to see numbers. Don't make up the numbers. Don't make them up. But if you have them, add them. All right. And when you're thinking about how to draft the section, 4 easy things to do. 1, you need a hook. You need people to say, "Ooh, I want to click more and see more about this person." So what are the business problems you solve? All right. So I drafted something here. Right. Then after you say that, they go, "Oh, I'm so interested. What's next?" The next paragraph, proof. What are the results? What are the customer types you work with? Okay. And this is where you could put in the T-Mobile piece. And then the third piece is the focus. Like, if your team's dealing with it, like, who do you work with and why do you work with them? If your team's dealing with connectivity gaps, unreliable coverage, compliance requirements, or an upcoming contract renewal, that's exactly what I help solve. Right? You can put that in. And then you have a call to action. Let's connect. Message me, something along those lines. What do you want them to do after they read this? So they're going to say, wow, this person can solve those are the issues I have. That's what your hook is, right? You're talking about business problems and they're like, I have those same problems. What kind of results have you had? Oh my gosh, these people have solved that problem before. And they know they're speaking my language. That's number 3. And number 4, I need to call them. And by the way, put your email in that about section because they're going to LinkedIn message you. And I doubt you're on LinkedIn 24/7, but you're on your email that often. So put your email in there or your phone number if you want them to call you. Most people just put their business email in there. Okay. Any questions? Oh, somebody's in the chat and I went away from it. Oh, that was Rob. He had to leave. Okay. So you think about, go look at your about section. If you're not in your profile now, look at it and say, okay, just what's one thing I would change? Okay. Just one thing and start with that one thing. And then when you think about it a little bit more, add the second thing, add the third thing, and make sure there's a call to action. Okay. Okay, the featured section. The featured section is typically right underneath your.
Hang on one second. Let's go back. You covered a whole lot. And my team is really quiet. And really quiet scares me because really quiet generally means to me that y'all are feeling overwhelmed because that was a whole lot of stuff there. What questions do y'all have? Peggy, Amanda, I'm going to start with you. Betsy, pop in.
It is hard to wrap my mind around doing the hook, proof, focus, and CTA when I'm usually thinking of this as people looking for jobs, not trying to, focus on Premier Wireless. But I love this. But as you said, no one reads long paragraphs. If I do all 4 of those, that's going to be long.
Well, think about it as a sentence or 2 and then bullet points, right?
Okay.
Most agencies and organizations are managing critical communications, dealing with aging networks, dealing with patchwork carriers. You got to think of different words than dealing all the time. And they're dealing with systems that weren't built for today. If you just put those in bullets, because people like to scan. All right. So here's what I would suggest, though, Peggy. Peggy brought up a good point, and I'm not only talking to Peggy, I'm talking to the rest of you. Why don't we do this? Over the next couple of days, if it's not too much to ask, think about just who you serve and what their business problems are. Who you serve and what their business problems are. And if you will send that to me in an email, I will start writing it for you. I'll give you some examples. Okay. I'll give you
I even say we can do it tomorrow morning on the 8 o'clock call. And I would challenge because and first of all, let me say thanks, Barb, except that I need y'all to start thinking like this on an ongoing basis. And if Barb does all the writing, then we're not collectively growing and thinking. So I would tell you that when Barb sends this over after this call, you'll have this deck and put it in there and give it some tweaks and say, using this as a framework and going to chat and saying, I focus on these clients. give me some ideas to work with and make it shorter and use bullet points.
Yep.
Because it's also about learning how to talk to AI. So I think we've got a framework here, and I'd like us to try it. And then we can update our profiles and send them off to, because it'll be better than where you are now. And we can send it to Barb and we can review them either during the week. She can send back thoughts or
Yeah.
On our call next Monday. But it's because these are the things in thinking when you're calling and you're trying to set appointments, when you're having interactive conversations. What would you say? What is it that we do? And they say, well, can you give me more information? Well, that's a proof statement, right? Well, I work with and I help them solve these kind of problems. And that's really what this is. So it's just taking what we say and think on a regular basis and formatting it. And one of the things that I think is a lot of times people will say to me when we role play, they go, oh, I'm so much better when I'm actually on the phone. Well, no, we're generally not so much better, not you or anything else, but it's myself. And Betsy's laughing because she's absolutely heard me say this before. We think we're fabulous when bullshit just flies out of our mouth and we just go. But when we have to be formal, whether it's in role play where we're accountable or it's written word, it's like, eeks, now what do I say? It's the same thing. And, you know, I've worked with Amanda a lot to create things with chat. And Amanda, how do you feel about being able to put this in chat to get it to come back with something to update your profile?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just screenshot this and then tell it.
Yep. That's absolutely do that. And when it comes back, make it yours. Chat is so good at helping to draft something, but it's never going to know your voice. Now, it gets better every time you use it, though. I will say that. But make sure that it's yours, right? If you think of that hook as that's the buyer's problem, all right? So it leads with the buyer's problem, not what you sell, but what the buyer's issue is. And the proof point piece, it says, I've done this before. Feel good about me because I've done this before. And then the focus tells who you work with. Like I work with people that look like you, right? That have your job, right? And then the call to action tells them what you want to do next. Those are the 4 pieces. All right. So chat, Claude, it'll really help you. Okay. I'm going to go through a couple more. We have about 6 minutes left and I have about 8 slides. So can I go over a few minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the featured section.
Lee, we do have a call right after this at 11 with the strategic from healthcare, T-Mobile.
Yeah, you and I can drop it. Everyone else can stay.
Yep. Okay. So the featured section is right under your about or right above your about section, I believe. And this lets you pin posts that are most relevant to your audiences. Okay. What's great to do here is to take the posts that have had the most engagement or the most views, and that are most relevant for most of your audiences. Like this, if somebody came to my profile, this is what I want them to see. It's also really great to have a variety of different types of content there. We'll talk about that later, but you know, if you had a video, videos really are good. People love videos, right? Or, you know, if you have a carousel image with a lot of different pieces in it, you have to make sure on your featured piece that the images grab your attention. Okay. So this is from Vlad, who used to be part of our team. And, you know, he has wide and varied interests that all help him sell more. He's now in the cybersecurity business, but these, you know, look at those faces, right? At Channel Pro. Oh my gosh. And there was a video and that got a ton of views on his profile. There are some pieces of content that I saw off your website that you can choose to share there. Okay. But you have to share them, not just the content with a post. So you'll have to create the post that goes with it. So you can look at those and see if they're relevant to your audiences. The activity section, You should look at your activity section to see how much you're really engaged. And I love how Lee said that before. We all think we're great. The bullshit meter doesn't go off often enough, right? You should be spending at least 10 minutes a day reviewing and engaging on LinkedIn. You know, I said some other things you should do too, but 10 minutes of that should be reviewing and engaging on LinkedIn. We'll talk more about the types of engagement. Don't just click like, that doesn't count as engagement. Engaging is resharing, engaging is commenting, asking questions, right? Even saving gets you more points in the algorithm than just liking. So don't just like. If you're just going to go through and like things, you might as well not even do it. As a matter of fact, some people would say that it's actually negative and draws away from your scores. All right. And make sure that your that what you're commenting and how you're commenting and what you're saying is consistent. That's one other thing that somebody said to me. Oh, I say this to so-and-so and I say that to somebody else. I'm not saying, I mean, different audiences, different personas, different industries, you say something different, but you want to make sure that the messages are consistent behind Premier Wireless, differentiated value, those kind of things. Okay. So that's your activity. And this is what, and by the way, people that go to your profile, this is what they see. So, you know, they're going to want to see you engaged. All right, your experience. Again, unless you're looking for a job, please don't make this about getting the next job. Share the outcomes, show the outcomes you created in each of these jobs. Okay, make sure your experience across your roles tells how you add value. If you have numbers and stats, what I talked about before that you're putting in your about section, put them here. Something like, you know, save 58% of total wireless costs, or, you know, 32% faster achievement of ROI, or anything along those lines that you can share. If you have case studies and you can use numbers from those case studies, even if they're anonymous, you can use those, right? Lead with numbers and stats and lead with outcomes that are relevant to your audience. And the reason I keep saying relevant to your audience is you may have something in your past that isn't relative to the audience today. And so maybe you don't worry about that so much. All right. You can always change it later if you go back into a different industry, but maybe you don't worry about that so much. So thinking about who your prospects and customers are, think about what's important to them. Okay. And I have a couple of examples there. Okay. The skills section. So there is the skills section is something that the algorithm goes out to people and says, hey, does Barb Gavorowski have this skill? And you say, you know, let's just say the skill is, you know, telecommunications. And somebody goes, well, yeah, I worked with her at Ameritech a million years ago. And then they're like, who did you work with her or for her? Did she work for you? Whatever. They click on this, right? And you can get these endorsements. And that's all interesting and everything else. However, that might not be what your current ideal customer needs to see from you, right? It may not be relevant. So you can go into this section and rearrange the order of them. Not just, if a million people said I was really good at hula dancing, I don't want anyone to think I'm good at hula dancing, right? And I don't know why they would ever say that because I've never done the hula, but I would take that, you can't get rid of it, but you can move it way down the list. And I could say, I'm really great at social selling. I'm really good at B2B marketing. I'm really good at this or something else, right? There's certain things I want my customers, prospective clients to see. And there's other things that I don't care if they see. Okay. So make sure that you're putting them in the right order. You can move the order around. And just to keep this legit, I always tell people when you endorse others, when you are asked to endorse them, and you know hula dancing is not important in my world, don't endorse me for hula dancing, even if it's up there. Like, do it wisely and ethically, because we want to be able to use LinkedIn as a good source of who we want to work with. All right. So I have some suggestions in here, but of course, make those work for your specific area of the business.
I have to drop, but you keep going.
I
So,
will. Thank
Monica,
you.
Monica and I have another call. Barb,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll talk to you guys next week. All right. So testimonials, recommendations. Okay. You need recommendations. You need recommendations on your profile, and you need recommendations from like 2025 and 2026. We're halfway through 2026, believe it or not. So if you go back and look at your profile and the last recommendation you had was from 2019, it's time to start asking people. Okay. By the way, you can ask the people on this call to give you a recommendation. You could ask Monica and Lee to give you a recommendation. You could ask people from T-Mobile to give you a recommendation. You could ask sales engineers to give you a recommendation. You could ask other vendors to give you one. You could ask your customers. You could ask people you went to college with if it's been recent. There's a lot of people do it. If you can, every quarter, if you could ask 2 people for a recommendation, you'll get at least one of them. All right. So you want to keep this up to date, and you want to keep this, you want to keep it up to date, and you want to make sure you're getting recommendations from the right types of folks. Okay. So anybody in this, client, sales engineers, customer success team members, industry connections, all of those work really well. Okay. If you have any industry achievements or anything relative, right? Anything relative to the Premier Wireless business, make sure you showcase those. So, certainly, and we'll have to talk to Lee about how she wants to talk about being a T-Mobile business partner, right? What the right words are, because you all are part of an organization that is, so you can do that. You could talk about how many years of experience that you might have. You could talk about if you did a grant support program, education, or if you have any certifications from any of the vendors, or if you're a FedRAMP authorized solution partner, any of those things work. If you did certifications, I'm a marketer, so HubSpot or Insight or Zoom Info or any of those types of certifications, anything that shows that you've gone the extra mile outside of your actual education, right? Add those in there. And frankly, for some of us of a certain age, these things are more important than, a college I graduated from 40 years ago, right? I mean, do you really care about that? Unless you just cheer for the same basketball team I do, you probably don't care that I went to Marquette, right? But the fact that my HubSpot certifications are up to date, the fact that my, 6 Sense certification is up to date, that's all important. Okay. If you're ever mentioned in the media or in any press, you want to put that there as well. All right. So see, we were almost finished. We came that close. All right. So what I want to make sure of is that all the things I just went through are really quick wins. Now, maybe writing the about section is going to take a little bit of time, but it won't take weeks, right? Use chat, figure out how it works. If you want me to look at it, you could still send it over to me, right? All of these really work together to help build up that profile, to get you more points, to get your posts more seen, right? So we just want to make sure that all of us are working together on this at the same time to build that Premier Wireless brand. All right. So a couple of things about keywords. Keywords are anything that someone's going to use to search. And so make sure as you're writing any part of this, you include those words in. Now, don't include them in unnaturally, right? But make sure that they're in there. So if somebody's searching, they find them. Okay. Make sure you set up your services on your profile, like what you offer, what Premier Wireless offers. Make sure you feature a couple of your pieces of content that you've already posted on your profile, and look at your analytics. Now, we already looked and you already sent those over to Lee, but also please gather the following: your connections, number of connections you currently have, and the number of followers you currently have, and keep track of those yourself. And then what kind of engagement do you have? All of those can be found on your profile. And I just want you to get a baseline of them. So as we start doing things together, you can see how that grows. All right. So for next time, and our next session is next Monday, your SSI, your connections, your followers, your profile views, the number of impressions, and the number of search appearances you showed up in. Update your profile. And then if you have any questions, my name is here. My name is on the meeting notice. Just send me a note and I'm on email all the time. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. Okay. Now, if you want me to show you quickly where to find those metrics, give me 1 second and I will open that up. Is that okay? Do you want to see that or do you guys have it? Want to see it? Okay. I'm going to find it really quickly. Hold on. Anybody have any questions while I'm looking this up?
I just have a comment, and
Sure.
I don't want to say anything bad about another person, but there was somebody who wrote a book on social selling, and T-Mobile hired them, and he, gave us a very similar pitch over a few different weeks.
Mhm.
And this was so much more helpful.
Oh, thank you so much.
It just, like, the way you have it flow, I don't know, just worked a lot better for my brain. Thank
Well,
you.
Good. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Okay, so now you could see mine and you can see this is my headshot. And yes, it's AI in the back because I like those swoopy bangs. I know you guys are probably like, what? I like swoopy bangs, but she won't let me cut bangs again. The girl that cuts my hair. So that's why I put those on there. And you can see everything I've done. And by the way, I tweak this all the time so that because the more you tweak your profile, the more your score goes up, and that's good. All right, so here's your analytic. Oops. You can see my screen, right, everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can.
Okay, so there's your analytics right there. Okay, so I have not posted. I did not post last week, so that's why that went down. But this is where you can see, not the SSI, but the other analytics that I'm talking about. How many impressions, how many followers, how many search appearances, how many profile views. Okay, that's where I want you to get it. It should be right underneath your, the top portion of this. Now, if it's not there, if you don't see it, there's this right here. I think this is it. I always do this wrong. Yeah, okay. So if you click on that, this is how you edit the section and you go down and it'll show you all the different pieces like, oh, wait. You know what? I can't, this is so funny. I think I have everything on here. Maybe that's why it's not here. Let's do this. Add a section. Sorry, that's where you do it. Forget what I just said. All you listening to my recording, I just lied. It's add a section. And then you can go through and say, add volunteer experience, add publications, add patents, add honors and awards, and you can add the section. If you don't have the about section, or if you don't have the featured section, that would be one that you could do and you could add. So let's see if it's recommended. It's like add featured. See, I think I already have it. Yep. See, I already have mine. And these are the ones that I put on there, right? Because they talk about all the marketing stuff that I do. That's why I have those on. Okay. So any questions on that, on how to add a section? Okay. And that's where you get the analytics. And this is why you need the hook on your about section. So see my hook? Most B2B marketing problems aren't execution problems. They're design problems. You see what I mean? Like I'm begging you to say, it's not that your marketing person doesn't know what they're doing. It's that it's not strategic enough. Now, I did not use bullet points, but I did put a lot of white space in there. Okay. And I just noticed that I did not say, let's connect with my email address. So I'm going to change that right now. There. And by the way, they have AI on here too. So if you don't like the way it is, just write it with AI and see what they say. Make sure when you make changes, though, you always hit save. Okay. Any other questions? You guys, this is going to be, I know everybody's really quiet, and that's okay. A lot of times people are quiet. This is going to be fun. We're going to make it fun. We're going to figure out how to move up the stack and help everybody's profile and help Premier Wireless get more business. And that's the idea behind it. Okay. Anytime you have any questions, if you're thinking about it on Saturday night, I'm a loser, I don't have anything to do, send me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Okay. I'll send over the deck in just a few minutes to everybody. And it was a pleasure meeting all of you. I'll talk to you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.